There we go. The kids are so excited, Rosa. This is like the best thing for them.
I love doing this. This is great. We get to get into deeper conversations. This is awesome.
One of the kids just came back to class and he said, now, is Rosa from Lima? And I couldn't quite remember.
I am from Lima, but my family is originally from a small town in the Andes, so from the north of Peru, actually.
Okay, okay, good. We're working on our map right now, so.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad that the Google Earth project was useful.
It's so cool. Yeah, you can tell Andres, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I need to hijack your conversation and ask a quick question.
Yeah, of course.
The kids are looking, like they're having, because it's really hard to see the border of Peru.
Yeah.
It's hard to see the border of Peru on Google Earth, like the line is very faint. So we opened up another window and we're just using like Lonely Planet, like to see a better map. Yeah. So what we're having trouble doing though is like isolating the precise location. So I was saying that, like, what is this? Is this the Amazon? What is that river?
That's called Pachitea. Let me see if through after the call through Google Maps, maybe I can try to map it. So that river, that like the bigger one that the Boulder River comes off of, I'll write it down here. It's called Pachitea, but it is quite long too. So it may be hard unless you find that very specific curvature. It may be hard to pinpoint down exactly. It'll be easier to go through Honoria. Sorry, Honoria. This is. So there's a small city very close by that is called Honoria. I just spelled it out there. That may be easier to use as a reference point.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry.
And then I can help look further.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, who would like to do your group driving question? Hazel, go ahead.
What adaptations are unique to extremephiles and how do they help them survive?
Yeah, so we actually went over that just a little bit ago. There's if we talk about plants or animals, for example, there are special microbes and fungi that actually help them survive in these very hot temperatures. And the first studies done about this was actually in Yellowstone, where they discovered that the extremophilic plants that had no trouble surviving at these hot temperatures had special fungi and microbes around their roots that give them kind of like a protection against the heat. And this is what we call a symbiotic relationship, where two different organisms come together to help each other. So that's one of the mechanisms in which they're able to survive. A different one, actually, it's also that they may have specialized proteins within the system. So all of us, you, me, plants, animals, even microbes, have different proteins in their own systems, and some of them have been discovered that gather around the DNA molecules and protect it from degradation at the hot temperatures. That's kind of a hot new area of studies. Only a some amount of work has been done in that area, but there's definitely been proof that these specialized proteins, how do the specialized proteins come to be? That's the great $1,000,000 question. I think more scientists over time are going to start to get a closer look into this, but we believe it's through evolution. You know, if we think about evolution and how we came to be here, or every single part of our body has evolved for a specific function because it serves us better. So I think it's the same case for them.
If you had the answer to that question, what would you do with the answer?
I think a great direction for this work, and that's why I love talking to the younger generation, because you guys are going to be hopefully the ones able to do this with the tools that will be developed by that time. How can these plants that serve at that work at a hot temperature, we know that the climate change is affecting us all, and every year the weather is getting hotter and hotter, and we can try to slow it down, but it's still gonna get hot, even hotter than right now, at least in the next couple of years. So my big idea would be, what can we use from these systems to help plants that normally cannot sustain these increased temperatures survive, so that maybe they are absolutely necessary to feed different populations around the world, or because of their medicinal purpose, and we're going to lose them if we don't do anything. Right now there's really, some people are creating libraries of these plants and putting them in like freezers and try to preserve some sort of a part of this so that years to come, or if, you know, we develop a civilization on space, they can replicate this. But if we are able to gather this knowledge, I don't know, just imagine if there's a spray, this is something crazy. There's a spray with these specialized microbes and fungi that give this protective core. Imagine you can spray that in the plant and give them this special power all of the sudden. And all of the sudden now, if you do the correct work, climate change won't impact them so as bad as it is right now already. Just an idea.
You know, what I think the first is the fact that we live in Idaho, where we're pretty famous for potatoes, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, we grow lots of potatoes out here, but all of the farmers around here are constantly watching and concerned about the weather, because that really makes their crops successful, and some years it makes their crops absolutely all gone. And so that's the same kind of thing. If there was some kind of a superpower spray that you could put on them so they can live even when it gets cold, like it does here sometimes too early in the fall, then they mature and ripen. And
so
then
to give you just a very quick example on how this is already happening in other countries right now, but I think for, you know, agriculture and potato production and stuff, you guys could be the ones that do it because our tools will be better at that time. In Brazil, you guys know coral reefs on the ocean?
yeah, in the ocean.
So for the first time in the last 3 years, a really cool female scientist led a group where they identified these kind of special microbes that protect the coral reefs from hot temperatures. And they were able to create some sort of cocktail, like a spray lab in the lab, where they spray this mix of microbes, protective microbes around the coral reefs. And these coral reefs were able to sustain hotter temperatures of the water compared to the other ones. They didn't bleach out, they remained healthy. And so that's just really fascinating into how can we protect these endangered areas from climate change for the future.
Okay, Jason had a question, I thought.
Well, I have a question that's not very related to the Extremephiles adaptations, but I guess that kind of has something to do with them.
Okay, give us a try.
What separates Extremephiles from other organisms?
Oh, that's another amazing question. Multiple things. So have you guys learned much about DNA yet? And what makes up DNA? What is even DNA?
Not really.
Not really, no.
Okay, so DNA is at the basis of all forms of life. It's genetic information. Imagine in a computer, you have a lot of data that has to, you know, be input into that computer so that you can see an image, so that you can see a video, you can create a website. It's the same with DNA in our own systems. DNA is what makes up everything of us. It's what determines my color, the color of my eyes, the color of your hair, you know, how tall you are, etc. So different organisms have different DNAs. We share DNAs very similar DNA makeup to monkeys, for example, but actually to potatoes as well. It's insane how nature works. But extremophiles, we believe that they have a very unique set of DNA that allows them to create different components within their bodies that give them this protection. So one of the examples I was mentioning before is we think that some of these extremophiles have special proteins that are made because of the composition of the DNA. And that this gives them this special protection. And why those have that, you know, abilities and not the others? Because throughout years and years, they happen to be living in an extreme location. So the power of adaptation, the power of evolution, push their organisms to develop this. So nature is constantly evolving, just how you are learning, you know, new classes every day. Nature is doing the same, and resulting in changes that we can see.
Yeah, they use Extremophiles for medicine for the COVID-19 vaccine.
That is an amazing question, and there's a lot of people that are studying different kinds of natural products, of microbes, fungi, even anything that could be served for COVID-19. In terms of specific extremophiles, I don't know of one right now, but I wouldn't be surprised that they will be looking into these organisms because they make very unique molecules. I do think that they have the potential to treat diseases that we yet have not seen, like COVID, that it's relatively new to some extent, right? There's been different coronaviruses throughout the years in the world, but this is a new kind. So I think that's where extremophiles can fill that gap in the future.
Does the adaptations that let the extremophiles live in the boiling river
help medications and how?
Yeah, so did you guys read the article on PCR thanks to a bacteria in Yellowstone yet?
Yeah.
So I think that's the best example of what we hope we could eventually learn from the Boiling River. One of the examples. In this case, PCR helps with medicine in so many levels. Of course, right now with COVID testing, but also to detect even criminals and to understand if somebody has a disease or not, besides COVID, all the times as well. So I think the uniqueness of the Boiling River and the depth in which we're studying it can also perhaps allow us to discover, maybe in this case, more connected to its local ecology, how is the Boiling River helping the plants survive at these hot temperatures, and that relating that to climate change. How can we help that? With that, how can we help plants in other areas survive hot temperatures? Just an idea, but the same for animals.
That's really cool.
Thank you guys. Awesome. Hi.
My name is Spencer, and I was gone when my group. It was the how to find the extremephiles thing.
That's your thing you wanted to learn.
How do you know that there are microscopic I forgot. Like how do you like find the extremephiles and stuff?
Yeah, so I first look at an area that is considered extreme. So an example could be, Antarctica. In my case, is the Boiling River. I know it's extreme because I really don't see many forms of life living there. So that tells me that it must be a very unique spot where only very few things at all, if anything at all, can live there. So that already makes it extreme. Another example is space, for example. That's an extreme space location, right? Not many things naturally live there that we know of yet. So in this case, first I need to identify a spot that is extreme. Two, I need to look for these microscopic organisms. Where are they? Oof, they're literally anywhere. I can find them in the water. I can find them in the soil. I can find them in the plants, in the rocks, even in the air. As long as I know how to collect them and how to look for them under the microscope, then most likely I will find something. There's only been one place on Earth that it's called that is considered an extreme location, where no microorganisms have been found, at least with the current tools that we have in our hands. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it was extremely acidic, even more acidic than the Yellowstone. Yellowstone, the pH, I don't know if you guys have learned about pH in chemistry yet. In Yellowstone, I think it's about 5. 7 is usually, what the pH of your body, of your water, of my body, my water is at. This location I'm talking about, I will try to find out where exactly. It was pH 2, so extremely acidic. And to my understanding, that's the only place they were not able to find. But hopefully at some point we'll be able to do some experiments with you guys, where you go and grab some water from your local river or local pond or something, and you'll see how in literally almost anything you will find a microorganism.
That'll be so cool. So ours won't be extremophiles most likely, but they will be microorganisms that we can at least learn how to look for those first. I mean, did you just start out looking for extremophiles first, Rosa, or how did you learn first how to even look for these organisms?
So really, the question there is how to look for microbes at all in general, and then you just adapt. You just look in a place that is considered extreme. So in my case, I learned really through school, and then through exploration. It's a matter of really just trying and seeing how it goes. So, for example, to prep the samples, we learned that in school, if you take a water sample or an algae sample, you want to dilute it as much as you can, because the microscope is so fine and so high resolution, so it really makes a close-up image much more than what we could achieve with our naked eyes. So you need to have a very fine sample, very diluted, and that allows you to distinguish the water from any organism that may live there that you wouldn't be able to see if you're just looking at a chunk of a sample that you collected. And from there, it really just matters what you look for.
Awesome. Anything else you'd like to ask her, Spencer?
Okay, and then like how do the extremophiles, like how do they have what makes them so they can survive the weather, like boiling river, than other just organisms?
different things. One thing is their own DNA. I think you guys at some point will talk about DNA. Their genetic composition just happens to be unique, that gives them the ability to produce different compounds and proteins inside their bodies that give them this protection from inside out. So this protection from inside allows them to be able to survive the hot temperatures outside. That's one. Two, as part of that, they could be making molecules that give them this protection as well. I almost imagine, like a coat. A coat is made up with different materials. This is kind of the same concept, except in like a very, very teeny tiny level where you cannot really see it with your naked eyes. Three, sometimes other organisms come to protect them. So they almost have like these kind of friends that come and give them a protection that they normally don't have. And in exchange, the organism that is getting protected, the extremophile, gives them something else that these other protectors couldn't get by themselves. So there's multiple ways. One could be doing, all of these methods in order to get protection. The other one could only be having one. They all happen to be very unique.
Wow, well, that is so wonderful.
I know.
Isn't that cool? Well, we look forward to getting under the microscope.
Yeah.
Yes, we have microscopes here at the
Are we going
school.
to use them?
Yes.
In
Of
third
course.
grade, we used one and it looked really cool. Like we saw like a fly's wing and just like it looks so different from the inside from the outside.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, well, Rosa, this has been such a delight.
Yeah, this is awesome. Let's talk soon, because this has given me so many ideas. Even maybe I could try to ship out some of the cyanobacteria from the boiling river, like a small sample, very safely, and you guys could look at it under the scope over there. That would be really awesome.
Oh, that would be so awesome. Can you see the back, all the notes?
Yeah, pictures.
Lots and lots of notes. Oh, and I feel like I can't wait to connect with the kids looking, for microbes themselves and looking at the microscope. And so I'll connect with you. I'll even send you. Trish and I were just talking one day, and I drew up. Maybe we were thinking, okay, the two things that we really think would be powerful is one, to teach them about teamwork. Yeah. And how and still continue to focus on the teams, and to create mini teams with our own interests. You saw today our groups weren't an equal number, because it wasn't like, hey, now the next 5 kids go in, the next 5. We want to really capitalize on what are you most interested in, and so we want to go there, and then looking at our own local river. I just think our city planning didn't do a really good job of highlighting our river. In fact, some kids don't even know that we have a river that runs through our town, and they probably drive over the road that goes over the river every day. And so I think it would be really special for them to dive in and learn more about that river and the Teton River, because I think for the rest of their lives, every time they drive by it, they'll remember what we've been doing. So that's kind of 2 ways that we thought we'd go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it would be awesome to do a few things. One, get some, even some water or some algae samples from there, whether they get to collect it themselves or you guys go. It would be awesome if they could collect even a little bit, with some and then I could teach you guys how to look at it under the microscope. The best way to maybe even look for tardigrades. That could be super fun. And I think I could be able to ship some little samples as well. We do have the permits to, at least for us, like to ship, and you guys will just use it for a little bit. These are safe. You're not gonna touch them with your naked fingers or anything, but it could be fun.